But you know what I was thinking of today was some verses from Bhagavad-gītā. And right in front of me, I've got the index of the verses to find the verse. Dehino shmin yata dehe, kaumarang yauvanang jara. This verse, which is like the very A or almost of the B and C. And here we are. It's coincided, as you can say, with your mum passing away, which is the very practical reminder that this isn't theory. This really is about our own life.
Right. Wow. Yep.
So we are actually, the world is somewhat conscious at the moment, or either trying to be unconscious, but conscious of the frailty of life anyway, whether we're old or young. But largely, we understand that the world is unconscious. They're trying to cover over the bed sheets and the duvet that it's not cold outside. Oh, no, 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 it's warm, it's warm. They're trying to hide away from the reality in various ways. Anyway, our empathy for naturally for the passing away of somebody. And you see that Krishna in the 10th canto, when we see Krishna's Leela, Krishna also, he showing his heart bereavement when somebody passes away, this, that, and the other, and many things. One demon came with a false false Vasudev, right, and chopped off his head, if I remember, right in front of him, when Krishna is showing all these signs of, very sad of bereavement. But Krishna's Krishna, he's having a Leela, and the demon is part of his Leela, though the demon is playing the part very well, because they call method acting, don't they? When you get somebody in the mood of the character they're going to play, and then they're very good at playing that character. So these demons, by the will of Yogamaya, in fact, in the case of Krishna's direct associates, then they are playing very nicely the part of the demon side, the competitor side, and making an imitation father of Krishna, then cutting off his head in front of him, saying, I'll see you this, I'll show you this. And then Krishna, he, as it were, comes to realize, oh, that wasn't my real father. Oh, okay. Then let's go and beat this guy up. You see, it happens in the spiritual world. But wasn't it Poundraksha, one of the demoniac persons in the time of Krishna? He arranges to have 2 more arms put on him. You know how in the theater they can do these things very nicely. So he arranges to have 2 more arms put on him. And he even gets a Kaustubha jewel, because he reads the scriptures. So Vishnu, he has a Kaustubha jewel. And the Srivatsa, whatever it is, a beautiful like hair locket on his chest. They say that Srivatsa on the chest, this is some way to recognize who is Vishnu, who is Krishna. And so not Mahaprabhu, oh my goodness. So this demon, he gets these extra 2 arms, gets what people will think is a Kaustubha jewel. And he comes and not only in his kingdom says, I am Vishnu, but comes and challenges Krishna and say, I am Vishnu, you're just an imposter. And I think it took a matter of seconds for Krishna to arrange who was the Lord and who wasn't the Lord. And then threw his head over the wall into the city that he ruled. And his head was all covered in bangles and jewels and all these things. And at first, the citizens, they thought, oh, this must be, whose head is this coming? They're thinking, oh, it must be Krishna's head, because Purandraksha, I believe his name, he had convinced the citizens that he was God, and he's going to go and get rid of this imitator, Krishna, who's only got 2 arms after all. And then at first they thought it was Krishna's head coming over, and they're starting to die. And then they see it's the head of their king, and then they, oh my goodness. And then, by Krishna's grace, I think they became Krishna conscious. I'm not exactly what happened next, but I think they came to their senses and realized that their ruler wasn't quite who he'd convinced them all that he was. And an example of how all of us, we are lagu. We can easily be convinced of something. Oh, convinced this, convinced that. So let us be convinced about Krishna consciousness and nothing of this world. Anyhow, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, as it were, wherever we are. And I didn't give my obeisances, just a dandavat in passing. So please, first of all, my obeisances to one and all. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And of course, starting with a big Jai to our wonderful masters, Jai Om Vishnu Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Om Vishnu Srila Bhakti Rockok Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, and Jai Om Vishnu Srila Prabhupada Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, and Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Rupanuga Guru Bhaga Ki Jai, Mahaprabhu Nityananda Panchatattva Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari. Really, only we can be an instrument to point in the direction of the wonders that have come before us, that we've somehow recognized a little bit by their grace in the form of our masters, the scriptures, and the opportunity to engage in service. So, should we just begin with a couple of verses from Bhagavad-gītā? Because that is no doubt always good for us. Bhagavad-gītā, first edition, and I'm just looking here. A, B, C, D. Dehi noshmin yata dehe. So it's chapter 2, verse 13. And when we went through the Chatur Shloki of Bhagavad-gītā, I did at that time read some quotations from Srila Gurudev, means what he said, quotes of what Gurudev has said about the Bhagavad-gītā and how important it is. And so it's one of, I suppose, many books that we are not to ignore, but we are to try to revisit continuously because Gurudev advises it. And actually, I mean, I know this applies to all of our books, but the Bhagavad-gītā, you can see how everybody refers to Bhagavad-gītā. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev. Everywhere, from like the beginning class to the end class, they've got Bhagavad-gītā there as, look, here it is in Bhagavad-gītā. So it is so important for us. So let us make a little big auspicious beginning for Bhagavad-gītā also with that special verse. Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogda Gopalanandanaha Pato Vatsa Suri Bhakta Dugdam Gitam Ritam Mahat. And then Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jayo Udirayat. And that first verse you probably know is the verse which is saying about Krishna is a calf. Where is the translation of that verse? Yes. The crest jewel of the Vedas, all the Upanishads, are as a cow. And the milker of the cow is Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Arjuna is the calf. The nectar of the Gita is the milk, and the fortunate devotees are the enjoyers of that milk. And then at the end, simply the verse which many of us have known from our first day in the temple, probably, that, or heard it since the first day in the temple, before reciting the scriptures that can conquer material existence, we offer our obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, who is known as Narayan, Nara, and Narottam, and to the goddess of learning Saraswati, and to the great sage empowered by the Lord to reveal the scriptures, Srila Vyasadeva. All right, so a little invocation there. And now, chapter 2, verse number 13. So, anyway, we'll read the verse. It's a very famous verse. And maybe Shakira knows this verse. She's been going to ISKCON. Her family is associated with ISKCON very much. Do you know this verse automatically? It's one of the first verses we learned on the Bhakta Basics course before we went back to the Bhakta Basics. Do you know the verse, Shakira?
Maharaj, I'm so, like, it's the first time I'm actually even attempting Sanskrit and that. So even though I'm doing the course, but I don't know, is it the Sri Bhagavan Uvacha or Dehina?
Well, Sri Bhagavan does Uvacha, means the Lord is saying, but it's the verse Dehino Shmin. You know it?
I know slightly, but no, I'm so...
Okay, no problem, no problem. I only asked that because I think it is the very first verse I ever learned when I came to the Krishna consciousness.
I also had to learn it, but it's gone now.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I understand these things. That's why I am here. Okay, I'll read it so I can make sure I do get it right. But it's Dehinoshmin yata dehe kaumarang yauvanang jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muyati. And the English given in the Hidden Treasure, Guru Maharaj's Gita, is, as the living passes through the bodily changes of childhood, youth, and old age, it similarly attains another body at death. The wise are not deluded by this. I mean, it's just a simple verse, but I remember when I first heard these verses, and actually I was reading, I think you probably all know, Science of Self-Realization, and Srila Prabhupada's explanation, like very simple explanations, and then quoting Bhagavad-gītā. It's just, it was so familiar. Yes, of course, it is just a natural thing. But nobody ever pointed out these basic things which we should give attention to. Rather, almost like we said just now, on a cold morning, keeping the blankets over our head and thinking, oh no, it's not real outside. It's all, reality is nice and warm in here. But the Gita is so practical. So this is a verse. What shall we do, Praneshwari? You're our mum. Oh, well, you're our Jeevan is our mum. Chinmoy is our brother. We've got the family here. Should we try to learn like 3 verses?
Please, Maharaj.
No, you're shaking your head, Praneshwari.
You have to teach us.
What?
You have to teach us. We have to follow what you say.
Okay, well, I think it's good for us. At least we can put aside 3 or 4 verses and we can perhaps recite them when we meet each other for the next 2 or 3 meetings. And when we leave, then as part of our giving obeisances, we can also say these 3 or 4 verses. So perhaps, Praneshwari, you can just draw these out, that verse, Dehi nosmin yata dehe. And the thing is, even for us non-Sanskrit people, it's fairly straightforward. Deha, we're always hearing about deha, the body, the subtle body, the mental body, the physical body, etc. The word deha seems to come up in many places. So dehi no smin, so the body, and smin, let me go back to try to find asmin deha, in this body. So asmin must be deha. I mean, we're just going by what is given here. yata dehe. And as, and then dehe is the body again, presumably. Or dehe antara praptir, the attainment of yet another body. Deha antara prapti, the attainment of another body. You see, Guru Maharaj's Gita, the way that Sagar Maharaj, who made it, they've taken the text, the Sanskrit, out of order, which makes it a little difficult to always catch, when we're reading it at least. Kaumarang Yovanang Jara. So that series, even I know, childhood, youth, old age. Kaumarang Yovanang Jara. Then Dhiras Tatra Na Muyati. And Dhira, we hear this all the time. Dhira, wise, sober, sometimes it is translated. Wise, sober person. Tatra na muyati. Na muyati, not deluded. And tatra by that. So dhiras, tatra na muyati. So as a living being passes through the bodily changes of childhood, youth, and old age, it similarly attains another body at death. The wise are not deluded by this. Hare Krishna. So should we try just to, we'll read it together 3 times. So maybe with the microphone off or on, maybe we'll get delay, but we can try on or off. But we can read it together because the repetition helps put it into our brain. So in chapter 2, verse 13, or do we have it on the screen? Do we have it in the chat box or somewhere? No. I can, what should I do? Should I put a screenshot there? Yes, no? Okay, I'll put a screenshot in there. Because that's...
Looks like Chinmoy Dave might have done it.
Huh?
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's come. Up, it's gone.
He put the verse in the chat.
All right, beautiful. So let's just read this together in the chat box, from the chat box, if you can. Oh, where's, excuse me. Calling me at 4:22 in the morning. Quick, 27. And who knows least, who you would expect to know most about the right time of the day around the world, and who seems to actually know least is our dear Janardhan Maharaj. I get calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then at the end of like 45-minute conversation, he says, well, it must be late at night for you there, right? Well, Maharaj, a little bit late, but don't worry. But we would think that Janardhan Maharaj would be kind of aware of these things, having traveled the world so much, that he's our dear friend and we're happy to receive his calls. Everything is good. All right, let us come back to our verse. Let us please chant the Sanskrit slowly together. Dehino yata dehe kaumarang yauvanang jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muyati. Okay, second time together. Dehino smin yata dehe kaumarang yauvanang jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. And a third time, slowly together. Dehino smin yata dehe kaumarang yauvanang jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muyati. So, as the living being passes through the bodily changes of childhood, youth, and old age, it similarly attains another body at death. The wise are not deluded by this. Hare Krishna. So that's chapter 2, verse 13. And then I want to find, click the wrong button. Always clicking the wrong button. Find exist. So verse number 12. Oh yeah. So verse number 12 comes before verse 13. Now this is very back to basics. This is back to our counting basics. This was the other verse which was in my mind, but it's a verse before it. Never was there a time when you, I, or all these kings did not exist. Just as we exist in the present, so have we existed in the past and shall continue to exist in the future. I was looking in front, but actually it's just behind us in the book. Never was there a time when you, I, or all these kings did not exist. Just as we exist in the present, so have we existed in the past and shall continue to exist in the future. Clear. So that verse, which we also on the same day as we learned Dehinosmin Yata Dehe, this one, Na tvevahang jatu nashang, na tvang neme janadipaha, na chaiva na bhavishyama save vayam ata param. So verse 12, and maybe already you put in the box. Very efficient. So starting, yes, na tvevaham jatu nashang na tvang neme janadipaha na chaiva na bhavishyama save vayam ata param. So this is good for us to remind ourselves always. Na tvevaham jatu nasham. Na, so tu na eva. It is not a fact. Aham, I. Na asam, did not exist. Jatu, ever before. Itta na, nor is it that. Tvam na, you did not exist. Itina, nor is it that. Ime janadi paha, all these kings. Na, we know na, not. Cha, and itti na eva, nor is it that. Sarve vayam na bhavishyama, we will all no longer exist. Ata param, hereafter. So actually, of course, this should have gone just before the verse we just read. But these two verses just bring everything home to us of the reality of our existence in this world. So let us read the first verse also together. So then later we'll put them the other way around. So we read verse 12 and then verse 13. But verse 12, let us read it also 3 times together. Slowly together. Na tvevahang jatu nasang, na tvam neme janadipaha, na chaiva na bhavishyam save vayam ata param. Number 2, together. Na tvevahang jatu nasang, na tvang neme janadipaha, na chaiva na bhavishyam sarve vayam mata param. Jivana, your lips are not moving. Jivana, is that a photo or is that you? Oh, it's you. Okay, you're
I think
moving.
it's me. Yeah, yeah.
You're saying
No, I was saying it the whole time, but maybe my screen froze a little bit or something.
I think it did, because when I spoke with you, you still was. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yep,
I
yep.
am not. I am
I'm
not the
loving it.
Paramatma.
Loving it. Love to be able to chant this Bhagavad-gītā Maharaj with everybody. Wonderful.
Okay, lovely. So third time together, this verse together. Na tvevahang jatu na shang na tvang neme janadipaha na chaiva na bhavishyama save vayam ata param. And yes, Jivana, what you said, we love to chant the Gita, especially after having heard about its glories, that it's not just our beginning book, but everything is here in Gita. All right, these are two verses. And another verse, which I would like to quote too, is this Abrahma Bhuvanam Lokaha, because this material world, everybody's always looking for material gain, praying for material gain, for peaceful family, peaceful home, peaceful this, peaceful that. But basically, the summum bonum is Abrahma Bhuvanaloka 8:16. So we're jumping a few chapters here. But this was in my mind. And this in India, we quoted a lot, when we're asked by Gurudev to say something, and, we're the white man, and we're there with all of the, Bengali villages and people, and they all want to know, oh, what is America like? I say, I've never been to America. How do I know? I can only read it. I can only read about America, like you. But then they find, oh, you're from England. Oh, you're from England. You're not from America. Oh, okay. Anyway, what's England like? Oh, it rains. It's cold. How much, all these things. Then how much does somebody earn in England? And then you say, oh, well, the minimum wage is something. And then they fall out of their chair. And then you have to explain to them, yes, but the underground fare to go from A to B starts at like whatever 200 rupees. You can't go anywhere for 200 rupees. Then anyway, they always thinking, because I suppose it was under British rule, oh, it must be so wonderful in London. And then nowadays it must be so wonderful in Hollywood. That's the place to go. Los Angeles, the perfect place. Yeah, well, try going to Los Angeles and think whether it is actually the perfect place. All right, let us come to let's come to Chinmoy Dev. Yes, Chinmoy Dev has given us, for everyone, he's come to us with Abrahma Bhuvana Lokaha. Oh, so should I say what the verse is? Yes. So first of all, Abrahma Bhuvana Lokaha 8:16. So let me just quickly come to get the official text from our book. Click 8, 16, 14, 15, 16. So the translation here in our Hidden Treasure edition, O Arjuna, from the plane of Lord Brahma downwards, all planes or their residents are subject to return. But, O Kaunteya, there is no rebirth after reaching me. Okay, tell you what, let's do 15 and 16, because let's not do what we did just now, do the second verse and then the first verse. So 15 is, the great souls who become my associates in my divine pastimes, having reached me, are never again born into transitory existence, which is the abode of suffering. Then this verse we just copied and pasted there, but Chinmoy who pasted there. O Arjuna, from the plane of Lord Brahma downwards, all planes or their residents are subject to return. But, O Kaunteya, there is no rebirth after reaching me. So, from the very A of we're not our body, we go through the changes in the body, then we come to this, okay, but everything here is going through birth and death. But where is that plane of no birth and death? And then here Krishna is telling us, the great souls who become my associates in my divine pastimes, having reached me, are never again born into the transitory existence, which is the abode of suffering. O Arjuna, from the plane of Lord Brahma downwards, all planes or their residents are subject to return. But, O Kaunteya, there is no rebirth after reaching me. Hare Krishna. So, I mean, again, very foundation verses for us. And this verse of 15 is Mamopetya Punar Janma. And maybe you put that in the box already? No, maybe you can copy and paste Chinmoy Prabhu, that one. Yes. So Mamopetya, we're going to say this one first, and then Abrahma Bhuvanam Lokaha second. It's the method of today. This is a special teaching process. We type them in back to front. Then so here's somebody in the waiting room, Praneshwari. I don't know if you know. Oh, it's probably Chintamani and Jayadev. It's a phone number. Maybe just log it.
It's them. They just got disconnected and they are back again.
Okay, so you want me to click admit or you?
Dandavat. We love you guys. We love you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. We're listening with rapt attention, and we are chanting along with you silently.
Okay.
I mean, out loud.
Okay, wonderful. Jai Prabhu, Chintamani Devidasi, welcome and obeisances to you both. And I'm very happy you're joining the congregational chanting of Bhagavad-gītā. That's why it's feeling, because
We've been here since the beginning.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Some have eyes but see not. I wasn't aware you were there. So wonderful. Dandavat. Govinda. All right. So Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. But today we're in Bhagavad-gītā. So let us read slowly together the two verses, Mamopetya and then Abrahma Bhuvanam Lokaha, remembering their meaning as we say them. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Mam upetya punarjanma dukalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha sangsidhing paramangataha. Abrahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punar Avati Norjuna Mam Upetya tu Kaunteya Punar Janma na Vidyate. Second time, Mam Upetya Punar Janma Dukalang Ashashvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmanaha Sangsidhing paramangataha. Abrahma Bhuvanam Lokaha Punar Avati Norjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punar Janma na Vidyate. Number 3, third time. Mam Upetya Punar Janma Dukalayam Ashashvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmanaha Sangsidhing Paramangataha. Jai. And one thing is, we didn't actually go through the words of the first verse, Mamupetya Punar Janma, but they are Mam. Mam means me. Mam says Na apnuvanta, which is, oh, you see, it's jumping around. The translation word by word is a little difficult to catch. But upetya, let us undo the puzzle here. Mahatma Gataha, those who have attained Paramang Samsiddhim, the highest perfection. Upetya, having reached, yeah. Mam upetya, me having reached, punar, again, janma, take birth. Mam upetya punna, and punna, again, janma, a birth. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So dukkha we know. So dukkhalayam, the abode of dukkha, suffering. Ashashvatam, of impermanence. This, anyway, ashashvatam, impermanence. Then napnuvanti mahatmanaha. So Mahatma, we know, is a great soul, especially because Gandhi was given that title that Guru Maharaj did not approve, that Mahatma does not apply to somebody who's basically mundane, politician, mundane, aspiring person. So na apnuvanti, do not take, mam apnuvanti, sangshidhim paramang, so dukalayam ashashvatam, napnuvanti mahatmanaha. So it's a bit of a different order of the text at the bottom here, but then it is telling us mam upetya puna janma dukalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana sangsiddhim paramangataha, which we had at the beginning. Paramang sangsiddhim, the highest perfection, and gataha is attained, yes, who have attained. And parama, we know. Anyway, by reading it, and at least by knowing the translation, then we are going to be meditating on that and reinforcing that inside ourselves. The great souls who become my associates in my divine pastimes, having reached me, are never again born into transitory existence, which is the abode of suffering. O Arjuna, from the plane of Lord Brahma downwards, all planes or their residents are subject to return. But, O Kaunteya, there is no rebirth after reaching me. Hare Krishna. So, Lord Brahma, he lives in the highest place. He's the original created being. But when one very powerful, great personality called Hiranyakashipu came to him for a benediction that he will live forever, Lord Brahma said, I cannot give you what I do not have. So I know Praneshwari and the school children, the school or not, the young children, they love to hear dramatic stories where, of course, the hero comes out victorious. So this story of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu, the Leela that took place there, is our clear example how even Lord Brahma is temporary. And remember that he lives 100 years. I mean, that means 30 days, 30 days in a month, 30 nights in a month, times 12, times 100. And his days are extremely long. His nights are the same length. But all this is one exhalation of Mahavishnu. So perspective is everywhere. Some insects, they live apparently for 1 day or 2 days. That's their whole lifespan, from being born to reproducing to getting old and dying. That's their whole lifespan, is in 2 days. So they will think that our life, oh, incredibly long. And we can think that Lord Brahma's life is incredibly long. But Abrahma Bhuvanan Lokaha, from the topmost planet to the lowest. All are places of suffering wherein birth and death take place. But one who comes to Krishna's planet, he is safe and sound. Hare Krishna. Dear Vaishnavas, and only by devotional service can we come to Krishna. We hear this again and again too. Everything else is giving a temporary result. And then I read one part from Revealed Truth, which I don't have in front of me. When we were talking just a couple of days ago, we visited to our Latvia devotees who, I mean, British will take off their hats to them. I mean, the Latvia devotees, every single Sunday for the last 6 years or something, every Sunday, rain, snow, or anything else, they go out on Harinam Sankirtan in a place called Jurmala, which is it's a tourist place when there used to be tourists, but it's like a suburb. It's a holiday area near to Riga in Latvia. Riga is the capital. And then every Sunday they do this. Then they come back and then they have their evening program and feast and prasadam and everything. And we joined them this week and we're talking with them. And I was reading from Revealed Truth, how Srila Gurudev says that only by devotional service can we get actual liberation, that by mukti, or it means going to the Brahman effulgence, the general idea of mukti, that we enter into the Brahman effulgence where there's no particular activity taking place, just all wonderful consciousness, if you like, in the non-differentiated plane. That, or being merged into the Lord, that both of these, they are not real mukti. They're not the real position of the liberated soul, because the liberated soul, his nature is to be a devotee and to be active. And so, and then the question came from one of the devotees, oh, but we hear that mukti, that the Brahman, that is permanent, we're free from this world, no attachment, and to merge into the Lord, oh, there must be, we're free. But then we came across the solution where Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna books is giving the verses which are explaining that even from the Brahman effulgence, and even if we merge into the body of Krishna, the soul is going into his body. But again, after the whole annihilation, not just a small annihilation, but the big annihilation, at the inhalation of Mahavishnu again, then after that, again, there will be another exhalation. And at that time, the jiva souls will be born, and maybe then they will not come out again. But then sooner or later, they're going to come back to their individual position and will need to be active. So they are not, it is not actually permanent, even though that is the liberation that so many are thinking, oh, now I'm free, now I'm free. Which is really an eye-opener, that only through bhakti can we get actual permanent mukti, liberation. And not just covering our head with the nice warm blankets when it's cold outside. Must be my example of today. Oh, by the way, maybe it's from the fact that out here, the grass has turned white. In other words, it's been snowing. We had our first snow yesterday. Really, we had snow yesterday, and big snowflakes, like 2 centimeters,
Wow.
2 centimeters across.
Okay.
And
Maharaj,
Shanti David.
Maharaj, I heard you got a new stove there, though.
Oh, we do. It's cozy. And that stove was donated by Sandeep and Maheshwari from India.
Oh.
They came here often when he was working. worked in India, software for the car people, I think Fiat or somebody, the people here in Italy. So he would come here quite regularly. And now for many people in the world, including here, the regular source of income has either become tiny or dried up. And so everyone's got to be very conscious about how to eat and how to keep warm when you're in a cold place. And Sandeep, he was aware how difficult it is to heat this place, and he donated this stove, which is a wood stove which burns wood, okay, but it heats the hot water for the bathing, etc., but it heats the radiators. And so here, essentially, they have, at the moment, in completely free wood, because they've got wood which is like stored up. And so they reckon they got wood for 2 years, and they just got to keep finding fallen trees and bring them home. Because we're here in a forested area. Chinmoy, he knows very well. Because Chinmoy now owns the property next door, or it's in his care. And I hope the roof is okay. If they get deep snow, maybe they have to clear it off the roof. Hare Krishna.
You said that you're in Latvia, Maharaj, or you went to Latvia, or you're still in Italy?
Yes, I went to Latvia by Zoom.
By Zoom. Nice.
And we're in their nice warm room. The Latvians know how to keep their place warm too. But it's underfloor heating.
Oh.
And it's subtle, but it makes the place warm. And they know how to insulate. The place is well insulated. And Latvia is sort of like St. Petersburg. Latvia is actually on the Baltic Sea, but it's just a day's drive to St. Petersburg.
Oh.
So you can understand it's cold. But here it's all, the snow is about this thick. It's not very thick, but it's all the trees. It looks like Christmas.
Wow, that's substantial.
And Chinmoy, who knows Madhurananda Prabhu, he's now got white hair and a white beard. So we're getting him primed up to be Santa Claus. And if you want to know the unofficial origin of Santa Claus, because I know the Christian origin, I know roughly the Christian origin, but this whole appearance of Santa Claus with a long white beard, all with his red, and he's generous-hearted, especially to the children. Then in the mornings in Vrindavan in the winter, we see the sadhus with their red cloth, all huddled up and wrapped up with their red cloth, with their long white beards, and going ho ho ho, and and they're generous by nature. Then I think, okay, so some origin of Santa Claus could be the sadhus in Vrindavan on a cold winter morning. And there they get not even wood, they get whatever garbage is in the street. They burn and they're all huddled around the fire. And that'll be pretty soon. It'll be quite chilly at night now in Vrindavan. Considering there is no heating, there is no insulation, and there is plenty of marble and all these things which keep the places cold. Oh, so Praneshwari did put something in the box. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda revealed truth. Real mukti is the extension of the jiva souls thinking, feeling, and willing. The extension of their knowledge, their environment, and themselves into their transcendental forms for the service of the Lord. Anyata rupam means that the jiva soul's thinking, feeling, and willing all merge in one point, mukti, and after that they are extended onto the spiritual platform. All jiva souls are naturally thinking, feeling, and willing. So love and affection automatically come to them for their Lord, when they leave the darkness of Maya and enter the light of the transcendental world. Leaving the darkness of illusion and entering into the light of Krishna consciousness is the actual meaning of mukti. Jai Srila Gurudev. Jai Srila Gurudev. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj. And you know, it is a fact that all over the world, everybody's reading, not everybody, but all devotees, they are reading Bhagavad-gītā, they're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. You can say we're all reading the same books in one way, but we want to add to this. We want to read everything in the mood, catch the mood, feel the mood of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, and feel the mood of Srila Prabhupada, who absolutely, when we see him, we know who is Srila Prabhupada's association. It's Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. And so whenever we see his recordings, whenever we hear is when we read something from him, we fully see that association. By association, we get the qualities of those that we associate with, those that we revere, those that we are serving, those that we are learning from. And Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev, so sweet, so wonderful. And we need to capture their meaning, not only the rules and regulations and what we should do or not do, but the whole affectionate connection of our guardians. Maybe, yes, the evening before last, we are in the temple, we're singing, we're reading. Actually, we were reading from Guru Maharaj, we were reading from Centenary Anthology, but we were chanting like we are now, sort of just absorbed in the singing and the chanting. And actually, we said when we're in there, now, if the atomic bomb lands and we all leave our body, I think Gurudev is just waiting for us. We'll all just suddenly find ourselves, oh, here we are with Gurudev and Guru Maharaj. I mean, this is where we want to try to keep our heart and mind, our willing, feeling and thinking always. Hare Krishna. And not to be disturbed by anything of this environment. Only know about the environment enough to live harmoniously with it, but not to fight it, not to do anything with it. It's perfect. Hare Krishna. Anyway, we have some reading from Bhagavad-gītā. Maybe if Pranashri, if you're happy, I know you do this week by week. If you like to just select those 4 verses and put them into a way that we can easily read them each time, or I can also do it, or Chinmoy, but one of us can put it together, and then it is good for us. We can start our next couple of meetings reading these, and we can read them ourselves.
Yes,
at home.
I will have just like the words of wisdom from this class. I will include these, so I will have it on a file to share it next time.
Okay.
Here in the
Thank
chat.
you, Praneshwari. Hare Krishna. Okay, any quick question from anybody? And not necessarily question, but we're on Zoom for you to participate.
I would like to say something. I would like to hug Jivana Didi because I didn't know about this. I thought you were just visiting your mom. And the example that you are giving us about how to deal with a situation like this, it's so sober, so perfect, so Vaishnava. I thank you so much for your example, and I hug you tightly.
Oh, well, it's because I have your association right now that it's coming to me like that. By the grace of Gurudev, something coming to me because I'm with the association of all you beautiful devotees. So I have some good help that way.
Jai. And Chinmoy, for you unmuted your mic just now. I think you're like to contribute something for us.
Well, we've heard that translation is interpretation, but even just from these 4 verses that we're going over, I'm just so bewildered as how people can get an impersonal conception of the Bhagavad-gītā.
Don't read Shankaracharya's commentary. I've never read it. I mean, really, I'll say we have some fear in this world. You know, we have some fear to have our brain screwed up with other things. And we hear things from foolish people, you know, I mean, really people, this thing that we get in India all the time, and I don't know about so much in my experience in the West, only those who've really been like reading some Indian books in the West, people say, oh, I am God. You know, this kind of is so crazy. You know, I am God. But the simplest thing, you don't know anything. You don't know what's happening in the next room, the next building, I mean, nothing. You can't make a planet. You can't make anything. You know, I am God. I am God. You are God. You know, it's like, it's not even kindergarten. It's not even like that mentality of a child. I mean, it's just foolish. But anyway, you see, sometimes they're reading books by these, you know, smart yogis who can play with words, and then they become convinced that they're God. You know, I just don't want to start reading anything like that. And Mahaprabhu, he warned us, don't read them. So, Prabhu, I'm on your side. I mean, but why is it we think like this? It's the grace of Srila Prabhupada, the grace of Guru Maharaj, the grace of Gurudev, the grace of Saraswati Thakur. And it's one of these things we want to hold on to. And this, I mean, pray that we don't lose faith in them, that we don't lose faith in them, the holy name, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all these things. And these things happen, we've seen it in the world, and we must be very careful. This is, of course, a theme of protecting the Bhakti Lata, the bija and the sprout and our devotional plant. We have to protect it very carefully all the time, and not think that we are above Maya, the illusory world. We need to treat the material world very respectfully, knowing it's Krishna's emanation, and try to use everything for Krishna with honor, humility, and tolerance, giving honor to everywhere. Recently, one of our devotees was offered some books. Some books have been given to ISKCON, in fact, but this is in Russia. And some books were given, I mean, our books would have been given to ISKCON, that somebody didn't know what to do. They just lost their faith, everything, and just wanted to either throw the books away. And then when one of our devotees heard, they said, no, don't throw them, give them to a devotee. And where they lived, it was only, well, not only, but it was ISKCON, but not our devotees. So they took them to ISKCON, and then the temple president, he rang up one of our devotees and said, well, we've got these books, you know, what shall we do with them? And then our devotees, they said, oh, please, we'll give you a donation, but please ship them to us to get them back. But that was from somebody, you see, who just lost the thread. So, you know, that's almost shocking. Almost shocking. So we need to understand, karuna na hoile, kandiya, prana na raki bohara. That song we sing every day. But Gurudev Kripa Bindu dear, please give your mercy. Without your mercy, I can only weep and weep, and I cannot maintain my life. But if that mercy is withdrawn and we don't have our actual, any foundation to go forward, what can we do except be hurled around by this material world?
Yeah.
And in this world, people do not know what is life. And Paramananda went to Japan just recently from Thailand, and he sent me, and I don't read the news, but he sent me a news clipping, so I'm not going to not read it when a devotee sends it to me. But it was about, and I don't remember the numbers, but the suicide rate in Japan over the last month, or the month of October, I think it was, the figures were for October, in 1 month is like vastly more than the whole of the COVID virus deaths throughout ever since the beginning of the COVID in Japan.
Whoa.
The suicide rates in 1 month are way over that. And then you think, well, my goodness, so people, they just thinking, oh, if I leave this body, all my problems are solved.
Right.
Without understanding anything. And there is, and I don't know which song it is, but we could find it in our songbook. There is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, I'm embracing death as though it is cooling, that, oh, death will be a cooling thing. Ignorantly, we're thinking, oh, that'll be relief of everything. But finding out that it is not. And that is in one of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs. How we are just going on in this world, generally, populations going on without any understanding of what is birth and death. And, unfortunately, we know, such a heavy thing with the suicides. It's, if you kill somebody, obviously you go to jail. I mean, if you kill somebody, there's a big reaction. And you kill somebody, being you, when you've got, after, it can be millions of births, you get this human body and this opportunity, then it is a big crime. And in India, it is known, in Bengal at least, if the wife commits suicide, the husband goes to jail. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He's responsible for the wife giving the shelter, and she's committed suicide. That's like death. So you go to jail.
Wow.
Interesting. And at first we think, well, that's a bit dramatic. We're all independent. But at second, you see the system of guardianship, the protection should not be, it is a criminal thing. Hare Krishna. Anyhow, here we are. On the bright side is, we know we're in an unfortunate world, but for the fortunate, let us nourish each other and share with others. This is our life, happily.
That's beautiful.
Okay, Vaishnavas, I'll let your evenings and days and nights continue. And here also, our morning continuing. In the snow, we'll go to Gurudev. Yesterday evening, we did parikrama of Gurudev's Pushpa Samadhi in the snow. Actually, it was quite sweet. And walking in the snow, the crunching sound. So, the first snow of the year. I was surprised, even the Italians were quite excited. Snow. Because it's a different season, and there's something very sweet and clean about the snow. And also, I was thinking, isn't Krishna clever to make snow? It is coming down from the sky. It's not a torrent of water in the earth, but this like gently floating snow and big snowflakes. And you know what? The scientists have studied every single snowflake, and they say they're all different. They didn't miss one out. All right, gotta go. Jai, our wonderful guardians, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai, and now Sri Rupanuga Guru Vaga ki jai, Jai Śrīmad Mahaprabhu ki jai, Jai Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, and jai all the assembled devotees ki jai, and all our Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Brinda ki jai, and all the unlimited devotees ki jai. Okay, let us try to repeat these. I'll also try to repeat them. See if I can repeat them every day. Oh, Chinmoy Dev sent to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, this is the quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. Admitting defeat, wasted and worn out, I await the snake of death, declaring it to be cool and soothing. I have embraced the fire of material life only to suffer intense misery as if struck by lightning. Thank you, Chinmoy Dev.
Jai Bhakti Madhusudana Maharaj ki.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Dandavat pranam. Have a successful Seva days until we meet again soon. And our best thoughts, Jivana Didi, our thoughts for your good mum. She's in a good place, don't worry.
That's beautiful. That's the best thing, to be able to hear that from all of you. That
Hare Krishna. Nittai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari
Hare
Bol.